Ohayou gozaimasu, konnichiwa, konbanwa. For whenever you're listening to the Joshi Pod bonus episode, the only person I could have on the first bonus episode is the guy I had on the first episode, Jim Valley from the Wrestling Observer, Pacific Rim Podcast, Portland WrestleCast. Jim, welcome back to the show.
What an honor to be your first bonus guest, along with being your first guest. So I can only imagine that your bonus guests, just like the other ones, are going to get better from here. So it's very exciting.
You gave me instant credibility. I really appreciate it. And I'm 13, 14 weeks in now from the podcast. I really appreciate you being the first for me.
I gave you instant credibility, really?
You did.
Well, you usually get credit for giving people a cough, so that's kind of nice that I get. Wow. Usually that's all I get credit for.
The reason we're having Jim on is because he had awesome access and had a wonderful time, from what I understand, during Wrestle Kingdom week in Japan. So we're going to catch up with Jim, and he's going to kind of let us know what he did during his trip to Japan for Wrestle Kingdom week. And we'll keep a little bit, we'll talk Joshi, but we might go off a little off topic here a little bit as well and talk about other things. So Jim, how did it come about that this trip was going to happen for you?
You know, I went last year just by chance. It's so funny. Last year, Dave was like, hey, I think I'm going to go. And gee, we need somebody to record. And he just mentions on his show on Wrestling Observer Radio, he goes, yeah, maybe Jim Valley could do it. And that just got the ball rolling. And we just went again this year. So it's a lot of fun. Unfortunately, I was sick. I got a little cough on the plane, and it really kind of got worse. New Year's Eve, that whole week it's the biggest holiday in Japan. So everything is closed. A lot of people just leave. Tokyo is really quiet relative for Tokyo. And so a lot of places, I couldn't find an open pharmacy, and I would have to go to the 7-Elevens or Lawson's or whatever, and they didn't have, as good a medicine as you can get at a pharmacy. So I really had a hard time, finding something to kind of keep everything suppressed. It was a challenge.
So New Year's Eve, it looks like you had a little bit of fun out with Fumi.
Oh, yes. So every year, Fumi goes to Killer Khan's restaurant. Do you know who Killer Khan is?
I do.
Killer Khan was...
He broke Andre's leg, right?
He broke Andre's ankle. That dastardly no good deed. I hate him so much. Anyway, Andre got out of bed one day and in real life broke his ankle, and they decided in storyline to blame it on Killer Khan, and it was a huge set of rematches. So he was a big star in all Japan and all around the United States. He's Japanese, but he played a Mongolian, and he's retired now. And he was a big guy. I mean, he's still pretty big, even though he's older, but he's a big guy in his prime. So he was able to go one-on-one with Andre the Giant, and he even had a really good house show run around. I think it was 86, 87 with Hulk Hogan. So he did some pretty big stuff in this country, and now he owns a restaurant in Tokyo, and it's a really good restaurant. And everybody goes to Ribera Steakhouse, and Ribera is great, but it just has steak, and it's smaller. And Killer Khan's is bigger, and it has a more variety on the menu and stuff. And Killer Khan is there, so you can get his autograph, you can buy merch, take a picture, whatever. So he was there that night when we went on the 31st into January 1st, and right before midnight, we're recording the podcast in the restaurant, and all of a sudden we hear this music, like a harp or maybe some sort of guitar, perhaps. And it's Killer Khan. Killer Khan is going to sing karaoke. 73-year-old Killer Khan is going to sing karaoke. And he didn't announce it. Didn't just suddenly music starts. He had like a tape deck, like a boombox tape deck. And he had like a razor phone. I kid you not, a flip phone. And he's looking at the lyrics on his phone while he's sitting on this stool. And he has a beautiful singing voice, very melodic. He was a sumo wrestler in his earlier days. So a lot of times those sumo wrestlers, they've got those strong stomach muscles for the timber. And no, he did a very beautiful job. I guess it's a very traditional Japanese country song. And what a special treat that is.
So do you know what part of Tokyo that's in, by chance?
I do, but I forgot.
That's right.
Harajuku?
Okay.
I can get you there. I forgot, and I apologize.
The reason I'm asking, I'm going on March 19th. I'm
You're
heading
damn
back to
right you
Tokyo.
are.
Yeah, I'm off air. I'm going to talk to you about who I've been talking to about being a guest on my show. I don't want to spoil it on air. So, uh, okay. So you enjoyed some time with Killer Khan, and Fumi was there as well, your tag team
Yeah,
partner.
yeah. And we went out and did a few other things. We went to a temple and did a few other things that are traditional and for New Year's. And then on the second, we went. And of course, the first is Fumi's birthday. That's he's a New Year's baby. And then on the second, we went to All Japan. All Japan had their morning show, and that's the first show of the year. And it is, it's my favorite show. I've decided. It is just, it's so much fun. You get there in the morning. It's like 10 o'clock noon. I forget what it is, but I think it's in Japan. It's a Korakuen Hall. And it's just such a fun vibe. Everybody's in a great mood because it's the holiday. And, I've seen a couple of these shows now, and it's the feel-good show of the year. And if you are burned out on the WWE product and Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, they're ruining wrestling, and look at All Japan. It's a much more traditional product, and that may be more in your wheelhouse. So I would encourage you to do that. But this year, just like last year, they had some young stars, particularly some from Britain, that they put over and kind of gave you an idea that they're going to be somebody in the coming year, perhaps. Then they also do some veteran matches. And this is the best. So they have Masafuchi, who is 60-something, and he looks older. But this guy is tremendous. He works the whole match around body slams, and he does this body slam where he lifts somebody up and he holds them there forever. And it's sort of like, I don't know, maybe like on Family Guy or some other comedy show like that, where at first the joke is funny, then it's not funny for the longest time, and then it's funny again. With the body slam spot, you're like, okay, lift him up. And you're waiting, and you're waiting. And you go through all these emotions, and then finally it's taken forever, and you're like, this is the greatest move of all time. And it's just hilarious. They also had other people. They had the great Sasuke, and the great Sasuke, hilarious. He used his hands, and he created an invisible energy ball. And so the longer he held his hands out, the bigger the ball got. And finally, his opponents were scared of it. And he would throw it, and sometimes they would duck. Other times they'd get hit and they'd take a bump, or they'd catch it and throw it back. And there was this big pushing battle with this giant invisible ball. Just, really fun stuff. And it works on the holiday. I mean, I don't think they do these things any other time of the year, but for the holiday and for older wrestlers who can't bump, the best. Absolutely the best. And it really shows you how to work as far as getting as much as you can out of what you can do and finding a way to make it work. And that's exactly what they do. And I just love the show. And then they always have a battle royal. And in Japan, the New Year's battle royals can also be by pinfall. So a lot of times you have some crazy spots where everybody gangs up and piles on somebody, or all kinds of things, that lots of callbacks and people turning on each other, ganging up, and so much fun with the battle royals. And then they also have like some legitimate matches with some action, a lot of the junior heavyweight stuff. And then they usually have like a tag team main event. So it was just a little bit of everything for everybody. And I just love that show. It's my favorite. Absolutely my favorite. Korakuen Hall, 1,700 people. You're close to the action. There's a nice energy and dynamic between the wrestlers and the audience. And it's just the best. So if you guys ever get a chance, if you're going to Wrestle Kingdom, don't flake on All Japan. Super fun.
How many foreigners were at that, or Westerners, whatever you want to say, were at that show?
They're definitely, I didn't count. All I know is that, yeah, sorry. I was too busy enjoying the Marufuchi's body slam spot. Granted, he holds people up there so long, I could have counted the place twice, but I didn't. So, I don't know.
I'm just curious, as compared to other shows we're going to talk about in a little bit. I'm just curious to see.
There are foreigners everywhere at every show. So I mean, understand that everywhere you go, there's going to be plenty. There were definitely foreigners there for sure. There were foreigners at Stardom and obviously at Wrestle Kingdom. The only thing is, I think Dave said what 5, 6, something like 6,000 foreigners, maybe 8, something like that. I'm not good with numbers, but there were there's quite a few, and that number apparently is still growing, and a big reason for the success that we've seen with Wrestle Kingdom.
All right. So what was the next show? Or did you guys do anything else besides that show before the
So a
next one?
couple,
Or
so a couple of things. So obviously I got sick, and so I had to sleep a lot and didn't get to get out and meet as many people as I'd hoped. And also, Dave had his family there, and he was very focused on a family vacation more than wrestling, which is crazy for Dave Meltzer, but it's true. And they had a great time. And then Fumi was busy, and so we had everything planned out, and everything went to heck because I wanted to see all 3 Stardom shows, and I got to see one because Dave and Fumi wanted to get together and record and watch AEW and do a Wrestling Observer Radio audio show on that and some other things. So I didn't get to see as much Stardom as I wanted to, or really many other shows. All I saw was the one Stardom show, the second Stardom show. It's Shinkiba. I didn't get to see the big Stardom show. And so I didn't get to do a lot of the stuff that I wanted just because I was kind of at the will of Dave and Fumi.
explain to the people that haven't been there before what Shinkiba. I mean, I love Shinkiba. Explain to people what it's like there. How would you describe it compared to anything in the United States?
So it's a business that you probably couldn't have anywhere else but Tokyo. It's in an industrial district. So it's all warehouses and trucking, and there's containers. And so it's obviously like an industrial area out in Tokyo Bay. And Shinkiba is it's a warehouse. I don't know, maybe about the size of a small high school gym, maybe. Just a black warehouse. Everything's black. It's got some bleachers. It's got ringside seats, and it's got a ring. It's got a ramp that goes out to the ring. It's got pretty much everything. All you need to do if you show up is probably just hang banners and maybe put your logo on the ring, and that's about it. It comes already done. And so a lot of the smaller groups use Shinkiba all the time. So it's really, and it's its own business. And so everybody rents it. And like I said, I think Fumi says it is 400. I think 3, but either way, it's not the biggest, but it's a nice little venue. It's not fancy at all. And then outside, there's a parking lot, and they've got all the merch tables, and, Stardom just freaking makes all the money on merch. It's ridiculous. The shows are like 2 hours, and the merch, I think, is still going on. It's about half as long as Fuchi's body slam spot. No, it is, but I mean, just everybody's lined up to meet all the athletes from Stardom. When we did the pay-per-view in New York, same thing. But I mean, that's in the United States. But yeah, there was just crazy lines for people to buy pictures and get autographs and T-shirts and all the merch. So it's a great time. But it's a great idea for a business. But I don't know where else in the world, even New York City, I don't think there's enough demand to have your own arena for wrestling and enough promotions that would use it.
I don't think so. I don't think there's 400 seats in that place.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
you got to be pretty small in those bleachers up there to fit 350 people up there.
But it was packed. I went to the second Stardom show, and I loved it. It was when Saki Kashima turned, and it was great.
Nice.
And then Hana Kimura came out, and she was dressed as Oedo Tai, so that was awesome. Yeah, I really loved the show. But okay, so between you and I, the highlight of the trip, seeing Jungle Kiona again. There you go. Everyone's like, gee, it must have been great the way you interacted with that wrestler. And they're thinking Chris Jericho. And I'm like, yeah, Jungle Kiona.
Did she remember you?
How dare you? How dare you? Yes, she did. Not like anybody really else did. No, actually, B. Priestley did. I got to talk to B. Priestley. She's super, super nice. So a few people did. I'm sure some didn't. Not a big deal, but Jungle Kiona did, and that's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
Yeah, I didn't get to see Kagetsu.
That was going to be my next question, literally coming out of my mouth right now, is Kagetsu.
And I blame Dave Meltzer and Fumi. Hate him so much. No, just kidding. It happens. It's no big deal. We'll work it out one of these days.
Next year, you guys will fight it out. I was going to say arm wrestle, but you didn't want to arm wrestle Dave.
That's true. He just, forget it. We'll make it work.
So the Stardom show you did at WrestleMania weekend and this Stardom show, anybody stand out like improvement wise from the show you saw versus this one?
Here's what I can tell you. I don't know what's happening behind the scenes in Stardom, if people are talking to them or what, but it was very obvious to me that virtually everybody on the roster has leaned up. Everybody has raised their conditioning. Everybody is clearly much more toned, and many of them were, already in fantastic shape. So whether they're telling the athletes, hey, step it up, or more than likely, I would guess that, these people are so focused. I mean, they all train together and do everything together. I'm willing to bet that they, realized it on their own that, hey, this is the shot. We are on the rocket right now, and now is the time to, look as good as you possibly can. So that was the one takeaway for me. I noticed a lot of new gear. And as far as anybody, not really. The only thing that I would say, and this also goes back to the Tokyo Dome show with Stardom in the Dark match, Julia needs to get up to speed on her wrestling a little bit more fairly quickly right now. So that's the only thing I would say. I mean, she's got a great look. I think she is a star, but she's still a little green. So hopefully she will really focus on that.
So did you go there as a fan, or did you go there as like a credentialed media person?
That's pretty much, I go everywhere both ways, really. No, I went there credentialed.
Did you get to go any of those like backstage, like post-match press conferences? Did they have that at Shinkiba?
Yes, yeah, they have a whole backstage area where they put up the Stardom banner and they do all the promos. Yeah, so I was back there, correct.
So, did you have Fumi there translating for you?
No. I mean, he was there, but I didn't ask him.
Okay.
The only thing I asked him was when they came out and they sang some song right at the beginning. I was just curious what the lyrics were, but that was about it.
So you enjoyed Shinkiba. So then was the Wrestle Kingdom the next show you went to?
Yeah. What was interesting is for some reason I am now associated with some people with Stardom. So like, for example, Wei Ting and John Pollock from Post Wrestling, they were there and they were like, oh yeah, Stardom, and they were talking to me about Stardom, and they'd never been, and they really enjoyed it. It's not that, Dave seemed a little, what's the word? Not as strong on Stardom this year. He seemed a little softer, perhaps, and I don't know if it's because he's so used to All Japan women and he remembers the glory days, but he was just like, yeah, the wrestling was meh, and I thought that the wrestling was fine. I wasn't, main event Tokyo Dome, but there were a lot of matches that had a lot of action. Everything made a lot of sense. I think it's a great product. I think it's very digestible, and I completely see why they're doing so well right now, and I would expect that trend to continue.
Yeah, their attendance, they're on fire right now. They're like pre-sellouts at Kirk and almost every show right now.
Yeah.
And you can see why. I mean, they're hot. Rossi's got something going pretty strong right now.
And obviously, Bushiroad isn't hurting, and yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how far this can go.
So what was the recording schedule like over there? Was it pretty set times, or was kind of playing it by ear a little bit? What were you guys doing over there?
Yeah, you want to record a show? Yeah, sure, why not? That's pretty much what it was.
My room, your room, my room, your room.
Yeah, don't even get me started on that. I'm freaking on my deathbed, and I've got to walk all over these places, just like it's freezing. And yeah, that was helpful too. Yeah, but it's my fault. No, it's not. But no, that was the challenge too, as far as, working around Dave's family and, their vacation and stuff like that. So, and like I said, Dave wanted to see AEW, so we did that instead of going to Stardom. It was no big deal. But so we did that, and then, Fumi and I recorded a couple of times. When Dave and Fumi and I, we went to Totocon and the wrestling store, and Dave did his Q&A there, and we taped some stuff there. So, we tried to do some different things this time. So it'll, it's fun.
Yeah, Totocon's a pretty awesome place as well.
It's amazing as far as two stories. So yeah, Dave and I did about 10 minutes on video, just following him around Totocon, looking at the magazines and the records and the autographs and all of the stuff. So yeah, it's a cool store. If you ever get a chance to go, go. I bought this time. I bought a championship belt, a little one, like the size of like. It's not, but it's about the size of a bracelet, and it's the I think it's the All Japan International title. I think that you put on a little stand. So I bought that. So I need to take that out and display it soon.
How much merch did you come back with?
I would guess 300-ish, 400-ish. I bought some gifts. People make requests. And then I bought, for me, I found at the train station, right by Tokyo Dome, they had ELP, El Phantasma was sending autographs, and they had like a pop-up store, and I bought a sweatshirt with the Destroyer, the Intelligent Sensational Destroyer on it. I had to do that. That wasn't planned. I bought the thing from Totocon, and then I bought, I always go to the New Japan store and buy a bunch of T-shirts, and I bought a hoodie for myself, and a lot of other gifts, like I said. And I bought Brian that Jushin Thunder Liger hat.
Which was amazing.
It was hilarious to see people walking around with him, whether it was little kids or grown people. And then when I took it out of the container, it's got a little bladder you can push, and the air, and it makes the Liger horns pop up. I mean, I don't understand why the Japanese, with details like that, how are they not kicking our ass? They should be. It's crazy.
They're better than us. They just don't know how to tell. They don't know how to spread the word that they're better.
Yeah, what's the deal?
Easy, Seinfeld, there, buddy.
Yeah, they work harder. They're smarter. They're more moral. Everything's like, why? What? Yeah. Guys should be light years ahead of us. What is going on?
So the day of the Tokyo Dome, I'm curious just a minute, because I've been to baseball games there. I've not seen wrestling there. What's it like day of? What's the buzz outside? How does it feel as you're walking up to the Tokyo Dome?
It's super fun. Everybody's out there and milling about, and people are taking pictures and talking, and there's some cosplayers. I gotta say, whenever WWE goes to Japan or whatever, they always have on Reddit or social media the pictures of all the wrestling fan cosplayers, and not that they're not good, but you get the impression there's like a lot of them, and there's not. So that's a little disappointing. There was one guy who was dressed up like the Shockmaster for some reason for Tokyo Dome, but it was a great outfit. I laughed my butt off. Really funny. Let's see. Who else was there? I think there's a Hogan again for some reason. And
a white Hogan or a Japanese Hogan?
I didn't get close enough to know.
Okay. Didn't take the sunglasses off?
It was a Hollywood Hogan, okay. So I don't know. And then they had, was it somebody dressed? I think it was it? I'm trying to remember if it was Bushi or Bandito. It was one of the two. I didn't get close enough to kind of see specifically which mask it was. But yeah, there weren't as many cosplayers, but the ones that were there were pretty great. So
the lines outside, were they pretty crazy?
Oh yeah, there's lines outside, but I mean everything is pretty much a system, so it's not too bad. And then there's a whole across from the Tokyo Dome on the other side of the plaza. They've got this really long pop-up building that several tables long, and that's all merch. So you can buy the merch outside. And I don't even know what they have over there. I don't even go and go do that. But they've got the merch, and then there's a whole entertainment district there, and so there's restaurants and food courts and stores and the Baseball Hall of Fame and all of that stuff, and roller coasters, and everyone's milling about and having a great time. Everyone's in a really good mood because it's freaking Wrestle Kingdom. I had a media pass, and last year, I don't know what happened. Last year I had a media, but I went up to one of the box seats, is where they stuck me and some other media people, Dave and a few others. And this year, I don't know what happened, but I was down with the Japanese media down below. And so I was in the press room, basically like in a dugout pretty much. And then, I got to go to all of the press conferences right after the matches. So somebody would win or lose, and they'd go and, you'd go and run and go to the press area and record their interview and take pictures. And so, yeah, I got to do a lot of coverage, kind of like I was a reporter again.
That's awesome. So let's talk about the Stardom Dark match at Wrestle Kingdom. Your impressions of it, the crowd's impressions of it. What do you think?
The crowd was fine with it. There was no real backlash. I think they were fine with it. I thought that it underperformed, to be honest. Obviously, with the attendance and things happening at Korakuen, it does not matter. I think just being there was good enough for the crowd. I thought that Hana Kimura is a freaking star. You know, you have something like that where an athlete, a performer could feel pressure. She was cool as a cucumber. You would have never known. She walked out and just like, here I am, just like Hana Kimura does. And I'll tell you, I'm sure the crowd that was watching, I'm sure that had never seen her before, you know, she draws attention. I mean, not only is she, you know, a very attractive young woman, you know, she's got a star quality and she's got this attitude that something more than looks that draws you to her. And I'm sure the crowd felt that. Obviously, everybody still loves Mayu. Everybody still loves Arisa. They did fine. And then Julia was a little rough. I think she wasn't particularly smooth. She didn't get lost per se, but you could kind of tell at times she was like, okay, I'm doing this, doing that. You know, she was kind of the weak link. But obviously, as I said, the crowd didn't seem to care, so it doesn't matter, which is good.
Yeah, I thought it was curious they selected Julia to be in the match, but
well, she's, you know, the plan I think is that you're looking at, you know, a career rivalry. The career rivalry of Julia and Hana Kimura. So of course you're going to do that.
And Julia's relatively young in her career still too, so when she starts working more and more often with the Momos and the Jungles and that, like, she's going to get better and better and better. But yeah, I thought it was interesting with her skill level and her amount of experience. They put her in a match like that so quickly.
Well, you know, Rossi, he knows what sells. Obviously, he learned a lot, not just from the success of All Japan Women in the 90s, but also the failure of Arceon in the early 2000s. So, yeah, I'm sure he sees everything we do with Julia, and I'm sure that, you know, he's not worried about it. And also the thing is with that training, I mean, come on, how many women have gone into Stardom at one level when they start a tour and come out when that tour is done and they're on another level? So
yeah, I've talked to numerous girls on the show here that are women that are on the show here that have talked about just how they came one person, they left a different person, and they brought it back to the States with them or back to Europe with them, wherever they went.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's probably just a matter of time. It'll all click for Julia, I'm sure. And if it doesn't, I'm sure there'll be another plan. I've got a lot of faith in what they're doing right now.
Yeah, Rossi's got the Midas touch at the moment. So after the match, did you run back with the scrum to go the post-match press conference for the Stardom match?
Yeah, I did. I got pictures. You know, they did. It's so funny how New Japan, they do their press conferences by and large in kayfabe. So, you know, Risa Hoshiki and Mayu, they're very happy. They pose. Everything's great. And Julia and Hana Kimura, they're mad at each other. And they're sitting there far apart from each other at the press table. They're looking the other way. They're blaming each other. And, you know, everybody does that. When someone loses, they're mad. When someone wins, they're happy. And somehow it all works. I don't know if they're good actors or that's just the expectation, but it works.
The sense you got, though, from, I guess, just the general feeling, were they pretty happy with the way it came out and the way it was received?
I would think so. I mean, it's not out there as far as on tape or anything. So, yeah, it's a first step, especially when you think about, you know, when Bushiroad first acquired Stardom, it was like, oh, they're separate. We're never going to do those, you know, New Japan and Stardom together, blah, blah, blah. And so, of course, yeah, I think it's all going well. So, I mean, you can't complain. And it didn't have any effect on business, and that's what matters.
Rossi wasn't running around high-fiving everybody. That was a great show.
Yeah, he was going crazy. He was like, he ripped off his shirt. He had a black sports bra underneath. He was like Brandy Chastain. It was insane. He was just, wow.
He might have smiled.
He was, come on.
So how was the rest of the Wrestle Kingdom show?
It was great. I mean, the first night probably had better matches. It was, it's long, but it's great. I missed the earlier tag team matches because the Liger press conferences, each night took a long time. A lot of questions for Liger, and obviously with the first night, a lot of people that were on that match with Liger, so a lot of people spoke, a lot of legends. So that press conference went longer than the others did. So I missed, the Never Open or the tags, or I don't even know what I missed, but I missed those just because Liger went so long. But it's like, when are you going to get that chance again?
Have you been to WrestleMania before?
Yeah, we did this past year.
That's right. How would you compare the two as far as the spectacle, the show, things? I mean, the wrestling's different, obviously, but the rest of the vibe and stuff at Wrestle Kingdom versus WrestleMania.
WrestleMania is probably more about pageantry and the spectacle and big stars and, big media. And I think that probably, I mean, you expect, one good match or two. You expect, I think, particularly after Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker, I think there was that expectation that you're going to get, at least one amazing match. But I think at Wrestle Kingdom, that expectation of quality wrestling is much higher. Yeah, you're going to get some spectacle and things like that, but I think it's more about wrestling. And you can kind of tell the difference between the two shows. People are saying, oh, the first night, way better, way, way better. And as far as wrestling goes, maybe some people were disappointed in the second night. So I think if there was a big difference, I think it's the expectation of the quality of matches and the number of great matches that you're going to get at Wrestle Kingdom versus WrestleMania.
Do you think that the increase in attendance, there's just more foreigners coming there? Or do you think there's more of an interest in the Japanese as well?
Well, I think the answer is obviously there's foreign interest, but, the first night it sold out. And then the second night, it was about 10,000 less. And that is a Sunday night at the end of the holiday. So everybody's going back to work. So there's probably 10,000 people who live outside of Tokyo that had to get home. So I think that kind of gives you an indication of, interest as far as the foreign interest and the local interest, and then the interest across the country.
So the 2 nights, it's a long time to watch wrestling. Do you think it could work in the States, a 2-night WrestleMania?
You shut your mouth. You shut your mouth right now. Never. God, I hope not. God, I hope not. Oh my God. I was like, please, please, please. Yeah, I don't know.
I think they're going to be in LA next year. I might go.
Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants the 2 hours of pre-show where, they've got to talk in kayfabe and, because you're supposed to be surprised that a big star wins the Royal Rumble, someone's got to sit there and go, yeah, I think Otis is going to take it this year. Yeah, I really like his chances. It's just, nobody wants that. With one match, and then it's long enough already. We don't need 2 nights of that because they're not going to have discipline. It's not going to be, WWE WrestleMania 8 hours, and they're not going to cut it in half and do 2 4-hour shows. They're now going to do 2 6 or 7-hour shows. So, yeah, no, I hope they never do that. I hope it never happens. Let's never speak of it again.
Deal. All right. So
it's a lot of wrestling.
Do you think that the 2 days of the Tokyo Dome this year were just because it happened to be Saturday, Sunday? Do you think it's going to keep going forward 2 days as well, or just this was the right place, right time this year?
Dave Meltzer says that, Ghetto has said that there has to be a reason. And, obviously with the belts and the unification, they had a reason this year.
Well, he's already booking to 2024 right now, though.
Oh, sheesh. Keto's already booking, for after he's dead.
Kazuchika Okada Jr. is being booked
Yeah,
already.
he's got it all taken care of. So it's just the fact that they haven't announced anything. I think that's still very curious. I would have expected by now they would have announced something, but the fact that they haven't,
Yeah.
we'll see.
Do you think Kenny Omega and the Bucks and those guys, the Elite, were missed this year at all?
I mean, they're popular and they're talents and they have a fan base, and I'm sure many people in their fan base miss them and want New Japan and AEW to get together, particularly since Jericho and Tanahashi talked about the Forbidden Door. But here's the thing. New Japan has got so much freaking talent that people are stepping up, or they can find somebody, or sheesh, look at that dojo. That dojo is ridiculous. Those guys, how did those guys get so good so fast? So, are they missed? Well, of course, they're quality people, they're stars on that level, but as far as leaving a void with talent, not a chance.
So what else did you do besides or when did you leave Japan? Let's go for that. When did you, after the Tokyo?
I left early. I was going to go to Disneyland because I love Tokyo Disneyland, and I left early. Did I leave? I might have left the 7th. I think I left the 7th. So I left the 7th, and I was going to stay till like the 10th the 10th. And I was going to go out to Disneyland because I love Tokyo Disney Sea. It's my favorite place in the world, but I was just too sick. So I didn't. I came home early. So I was like, I need to get home because this could take a turn for the worse, and I don't want that. So I need to get home, get better, and miss out on that. But there'll be other times to go to Disney for sure. So, yeah.
Have you gone there during a non-Wrestle Kingdom week?
Tokyo Disneyland?
No, just Tokyo in general.
Yeah. I've been a couple of times. We went in 07 in May. And then we went 17 in 17. And then obviously I've been a couple of times as far as last year. I went to Tokyo Dome and Wrestle Kingdom, and then I went to Tokyo Disneyland. And my wife saw my pictures, and she thought it was so fun, and she got so jealous. When I got back in January, we'd already booked a trip for both of us. She wanted to go, so we went back to Tokyo Disneyland in February.
So tell me if my thoughts are way off. I don't want to go during Wrestle Kingdom week because I think there's too many people there. I like to go like during the off season, whatever that is. Am I right or wrong for thinking that way?
You mean to go to
Japan.
Tokyo?
Yeah,
Japan.
You go to Japan and watch wrestling shows in the off season, not the big busy week.
It's not that busy. You're talking about the city being busy, because it's not, because everyone's out of town. A lot of stuff is closed. It's ridiculously quiet sometimes. No, I have no problem. I mean, Fumi gets me like a room at like a Japanese businessman's hotel. It's like $70 a night, and it's not big, but it's clean, and it's well located near Tokyo Dome, and it's great. Heck, if I got a $70 room here, I don't know if I get infected or stabbed first. So it's great. Yeah, there's shows and stuff, but there's other wrestling fans. There's a lot of merch, and you never know what they're going to do. Like All Japan had, the year before they had the giant Baba exhibit, and this year they had, I guess, I didn't get to do it, but they had a more expansive All Japan exhibit in the same vein. So there's a lot of cool things to see. I mean, yeah, there might be some lines for Wrestle Kingdom or to get into a restaurant or something like that, but no, it's not. I don't think it's ridiculous at all.
Okay. That's good.
No, it's
I'm probably going to break down and go Wrestle Kingdom sometime, but I always seem to go. I like to watch baseball a lot too, so I like to go during baseball season.
Yeah, sure.
But I got to tell you, baseball. We talked earlier in the show about how the Japanese are just better than we are. I've got to share this story with you. So I like to people watch when I'm in Japan, so I go sit outside of the Tokyo Dome, and it's during baseball season, and I see these people taping pieces of paper down with words on it at the line to buy tickets. And I'm like, what is that? What's going on? So I guess the people go during the day and write their names on a piece of paper and tape it to the ground. And then they all come back later in the day and line up in that exact formation in line, with their names on it. People don't rush and go, crush up to the window to buy their ticket. They're all orderly. They all get in line and they all buy their tickets in a polite fashion.
Yeah, I've seen that. When we were there in 2017, somebody was going to hit like 2,000. I don't know. Someone was going to break some record, and it was a big deal. And yeah, everybody had their mats out and had taped everything. Another story last year, during the holidays, I mentioned a lot of stores and a lot of things are closed. And in Tokyo, I was walking by, and there was like a drugstore that was closed, and the doors were chained shut, and all of its parcels, this big stack of deliveries, cardboard boxes, were out front, and nobody messed with them at all. I mean, I took them finally, but I was like, that'll teach you, but I did not do that.
Jim, but no, I mean, you're a wanted man in Tokyo.
I would never do that. But it's just amazing that, why can't we have that? Why can't we have nice things?
You want to do some political talk next, Jim? No?
That's not really political talk. It's more like pining.
So can you kind of wrap up and summarize the experience this year and maybe compare it to your other trips to Japan, besides being sick?
No, not really. Not really. No. Yeah.
That's good radio, Jim.
I know. I'm a pro. I wish I wasn't sick, and that would have been better. I feel bad every time Meltzer gets on the air and coughs, and I feel like everyone curses me with all these damn shows. I guess, it's a great experience. They're very comparable every year as far as, you get to do so many cool things as far as, you'll go to the New Japan store and you can buy all the merch that's right there. There'll be other fans. You can go to Ribera Steakhouse. You can go to Killer Khan's restaurant, Kabuki as a restaurant. There's a million wrestler restaurants you can do. You can have a really very wrestling focused time. I mean, there's Joshi promotions, and Korakuen has got a morning and afternoon show. Heck, Noah ran during frickin' Wrestle Kingdom. So there's a lot of wrestling you can see. There's merch. There's books. There's a lot of things to do, and everybody's in a good mood, and it's a lot of fun. I enjoyed immensely. The best thing, I guess, the way to compare Wrestle Kingdom going there and WrestleMania is that, the trains and the subways in Tokyo, so much easier to get around. You can get somewhere much more efficiently and quickly. It's not that hard once you do it once. Then you'll have everything figured out. And, like I said, it's very easy to get here, get there. And, as opposed to getting stuck in traffic or, after WrestleMania in New Jersey where everybody was stuck there for like hours and hours and hours because the traffic was so bad. So I would say maybe the mobility in Tokyo is so much better and makes it more pleasant.
So I had Fumi on the show this past Friday, and after we were done recording, he invited me to his house when I come over in March. What should I expect at Fumi's place?
Lots of wrestling magazines, lots of pictures. He's got all of his body of work, all there in different spots. So yeah, there's tons of pictures. He's got championship belts. And well, really probably the most important thing, cats. You get to meet all the legendary cats, particularly Kiki. So there you go. But that would be the thing. But, he's a super cool guy. Have him take you to Killer Cons or take you wherever, and it'll be fun.
I'm looking forward to it. I really am. All right, Jim, I thank you so much for being the first bonus episode guest. You want to share some social media accounts?
Just follow me on Twitter at Jim Valley.
And also subscribe to the Wrestling Observer and listen to the Portland WrestleCast, which I love. And the Pacific Rim podcast, which is amazing too. And I keep putting Fumi over for being such an amazing or absolute priceless reference we have right now, and an asset for English-speaking wrestling fans, Japanese wrestling fans. So I'm going to keep putting you and Fumi over as much as I can.
You're very kind. I also do the Saturday Wrestling Observer Live, which you can listen to on Saturdays. You can listen to Sports Byline. You can stream it at the Observer website, sportsbyline.com. It's on Sirius. It's on Sirius XM. It's on Armed Forces. It's pretty much everywhere. So it's a free show every Saturday. It's 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern.
You might hear me calling every once in a while, too.
Great. Love it.
All right, Jim. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Anytime, man. Anytime.
Take care.